Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the REC podcast, brought to you by REC Comics and Collectibles. I'm your host, Roman Chavez, and with me, as always,
Erik Icarus.
YouTube's own Erik Icarus. Kids, you can follow us on Instagram at REC Podcast. You can follow myself at Roman REC Podcast, and you can follow yourself.
Gulag_J_ Whedon.
Sweet. How you doing, brother?
I'm good, man.
Eric's old.
It's a fact. I'm aging, kids.
We've been doing some standing on these shows,
and it's been hell on the knees.
And Papa Eric asked if we could sit down. You know,
bartend 12 hours a day. Yeah.
All of his youth goes into that hairline. So I get it, dude. I get it. If I knew I could have done that, I would have done that, bro. I would have done that. Other than that, how are you doing?
Oh, good, man. Other than my knees being shot.
Yeah.
You know.
So it's a whole thing.
I tell my dates that I used to be a pro wrestler.
Oh yeah.
That's why my knees are shot.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
You
show them some moves.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Show them the Boston Crab.
There's some sweet chin music.
Oh, the sweetest of chin music. Kids, our last episode we talked a little bit about Gina Carano. Well, a lot of bit about Gina Carano and Joss Whedon, and just some updates. It seems like a big vocal part of the internet is very much on her side in terms of that she shouldn't have lost her job because of what she did. Sure. I do agree with that. I also agree that Disney, hey, you don't want to work with who you don't want to work with.
Exactly.
They have that right as well.
They do as well. Yeah, absolutely.
So, it's interesting and it's, in kind of this cancel culture, it's nice. And her whole thing has been like, they can't cancel us if we don't let them.
Right.
And I think she has every right to keep working. I don't think she should have any issues in that department. Ben Shapiro's, I can't remember what his production company is. They're doing a movie deal with her.
Oh, really?
So she's going to be doing stuff. She's still on social media platforms, so she's not letting it get her down.
Good, that's great. I mean, I just think it's a big loss for just the Star Wars universe, because that was such a great character, man. I really did enjoy that cartoon character.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, I think that the character deserves to live on. So hopefully we do get more Carano
a
stuff.
Recast. Yeah, I'm not totally adverse to a recast at this point.
Just have it be Chris Cyborg.
That's the way to go.
Yeah. You could make her a Mandalorian because she doesn't speak really. Her English ain't great.
Yeah,
so.
Exactly.
And then Joss Whedon in the Whedon universe. He has not come out that I've seen with a statement, but the men of the Whedonverse have been coming out. J. August Richards, James Marsden, David Boreanaz. They've all kind of come out in support of their female cast members and everything. Nothing outright condemning or contributing to the story. Right. Just saying, hey, I stand with you. James Marsden or Masters, whoever played Spike.
Marston.
He said that it was a hellacious, grueling schedule.
Oh, he did. Okay.
So he didn't stand up for Joss, but he did support his female cast co-workers. So good. Right. Good for them.
Yeah, I mean, I did have a lot of choice words on that last episode we did, and I might have been a little bit hard on Charisma, but at the same time, I'm still kind of in this weird spot where I think, I don't know. I feel like a lot of this is very unneeded.
I think she needed
the point of what happened. You know what I mean?
I think she needed to get it off her chest. I don't know if the public forum is the because I don't know what happens to Joss, because this wouldn't exclude him off any. Unless when you hire Joss, something like, hey, like, you can't do this stuff. If you do this stuff, you're out.
Right.
So I don't think it changes the fact that it changes his higher ability in the interim. Right. But I think that Joss too talented a guy that if he can fix your attitude, man, you gotta be cool with the people you work with.
Right. Absolutely.
You gotta be cool. And I will say, they were saying that he was kind of casually cruel with people. So, a lot of those writers who borderline on comedian, when it comes to being funny, they don't understand. And I'm not excusing him, but they don't, their minds don't work like the rest of ours do.
Sure.
The things that we say to each other are, would get us canceled with everybody.
Oh, yeah. When the camera shuts off. Which, that does make me upset that we can't be as honest as we'd like to be. Yeah. Granted, we are trying to make a show that everyone can listen to.
Yeah.
So we do try to dial back subject matter and our language.
The ball busting that happens here
it's a lot.
but it's
you would all love it.
But it's not
it's between friends.
Yeah, it's not between a
audience, and it
a
doesn't
superior. Like Joss Whedon, being the boss,
right.
And, in his.
But we all had the bosses where we could kind of bust their chops.
But that's not for everybody.
It's not for everybody. So. But I will say that I am kind of, I'm not upset, but I'm just kind of like the men of the Whedonverse coming out in defense of her now.
Yeah.
Where were you 15, 20 years ago, man? Like, if I was Charisma Carpenter, I'd be like, I appreciate the sentiment, but where were you when I needed you?
Yeah.
Where were you standing up for me when this was happening? Maybe Joss needed somebody to, straight on tell him, hey, that's not cool, man.
Yeah.
Don't do that. But to that point, you cash the checks. You got then you do the work, man. Yeah. It sucks. Yeah. And no one likes to be in that spot when they're working. But
that's not part of the work. That's the thing. That's not part of the work.
I agree. But, we all go to work and we put up with things we're not, supposed to be putting up with.
Yeah.
But we do it because it's like, okay, I got to pay the bills.
Yeah. And I think that was her sentiment. It's like, hey, I've got this job.
Right.
When you're an actor, especially when you're a TV actor in the late 90s, early 2000s,
right.
You may never do anything ever again. It was very common. So I get her stance on it. I get to my, until I hear Joss' side, I can put myself in a position to where, did he say things inappropriate?
Yeah.
Did he... but I don't know how he said them, and it doesn't matter. It's how she perceived it.
Sure,
so.
There you go. Yeah. But I'm glad that there's some solidarity.
Yeah,
I'm enjoying the solidarity.
Totally.
Just wish that maybe this happened, a few decades ago,
a
decade and a half ago. But better late than never.
Better late than never. Now the healing can begin. We have just, I think we're 2 days past Valentine's Day, which we do this. This is our third Valentine's show, and we always do Valentine's stuff a little late here.
We do.
We always do it a little late.
We're just normal dudes because we always forget about Valentine's Day.
Maybe not for our ladies or significant others or your hair. Yeah, whatever you got going on. Whatever your life's giving you. And I'm going to adjust this camera a little bit. You're a little out. We need the bomb dude in here.
There we go. That better?
Okay, a little bit. So we wanted to talk about we've talked about some of our favorite comic book and pop culture couples in the past.
Sure, yeah.
Which I'd love to refresh on.
Sure.
What are some of your faves?
Well, I kind of had a show meeting and I was like, why don't we didn't do it to Valentine's Day, of course. So, let's talk about some of our favorite comic book power couples.
Yeah.
I have to go right out the gate. We could always say Lois Lane. And Superman, Clark Kent.
That's
everybody knows about that one, but I'm gonna kind of go down the list and I'm gonna shoot them at you, and you tell me what you think.
Okay,
let's go with one of my favorite couples of all time, T'Challa and Aurora Monroe, Black Panther and Storm. For the kids out there who don't know, they were married at one point.
Yes, and Storm's from Egypt and really outside of Egypt in Africa. I can't remember what exactly her tribe is,
right.
But I mean she grew up in Cairo.
Yes, Cairo.
So she had those roots. It was something that comic book fans wanted for a long time.
For sure.
I think we all had our soft spot for the Forge and Storm.
Yeah, I think we all kind of wanted that a little bit.
There in the 80s.
Because there was a comic book with them making out on the cover, right? Or am I thinking of Gambit and Rogue?
You're thinking of Gambit and Rogue.
Okay.
Arguably, I would say if we were giving out awards for best cover kisses, Gambit and Rogue, I think
it's up there.
Oh man, I want to say it's X-Men 47, but I can't confirm that right now.
Right.
But yeah, and honestly, I mean, you came out the gate hot.
Yeah.
Having T'Challa and Storm.
Yeah.
Having them. I mean, that is the Beyonce and Jay-Z. Of power couples, like I don't think there's a better power couple than that.
No,
and unfortunately, it didn't end up working out like most marriages, but it is
okay. So when you because this was somewhat.
They say over 50%. If you put a line right here,
But this is like a somewhat of a kind of a newer couple, right? Within the last 20 years. Right?
Oh yeah. This was like 2008, maybe
a little
maybe
around that time.
Around that time.
Yeah. when this happened, were you like, okay, finally?
Yes.
This is something everyone kind of was like, well, what's going on here?
Yeah, and you were hopeful because you had you have the Wakanda nation,
Yeah.
and then this would really bolster the mutants. It would give
Yeah.
them safe haven to
Give them a
come in
sovereign
out,
nation
yes,
to hang out in, basically.
yeah, just a place where they could be safe ultimately.
Yeah. Big time.
And there was I'm drawing a blank on his name. There was a mutant out of Wakanda, and he needed vibranium tattoos to control his strength.
Oh wow!
It was a little strong guy-esque,
Okay.
where with strong guy he absorbs force and it turns him into muscles, but it's really hard on his heart.
Right.
So he has to really
He has to take an aspirin after he punches somebody.
some baby aspirin, get the flow going, have a little coffee, and so with this kid from Wakanda, they actually tattoo him with a vibranium ink.
Okay.
So he can kind of hulk out a bit, but it keeps it
contained.
Yeah, keeps it contained.
His heart doesn't explode.
Yes, and so we've had mutants coming out of there.
Right.
So it was a cool thing to see more blending of the cultures,
Sure.
and have it try to benefit. Because mutants just get the worst.
They
get
really
the
do.
worst,
They've saved the world countless times, and they still get shafted.
Oh yeah.
In the 616. Mm-hmm. But I did not enjoy necessarily, but I did appreciate the fact that they didn't shy away from the hardships of the marriage, and ultimately them splitting. And I gotta say, hats off to Marvel, because like my friend referenced over here, most 50% of couples end in divorce.
Yeah,
and that one would be a hard one to keep together.
Yeah.
You got the king of Wakanda,
mm-hmm.
gotta run the empire.
Mm-hmm.
Then you got kind of the de facto queen of the mutants.
Oh, very much so.
What I'm saying?
Yeah, people look to Storm more than they look to Emma, more than they look to Jean.
Scott.
Yeah.
I would even say Xavier.
Or Storm beat Scott in a fight to who will lead the X-Men.
And it's a funny issue.
Because she was a scrappy thief, okay? She was literally from the streets.
She is from the streets.
Now, Psyche grew up in an orphanage, but
well, that's not the streets of Cairo.
Yeah, it isn't the orphanage of the Shadow King. So, although he did have Sinister kind of watching him a little bit.
Yeah,
which is,
a little too much.
A little strange.
But when they did split, were you like, oh man, I didn't see that coming, or was there a cool build to it? Were you like, it was kind of like,
it was just one of those things that was doomed from the beginning,
right?
While it was for love, it did always feel a little like pomp and circumstance a bit, and exactly. And when you're the leader,
power couples.
You're a leader of a nation on a super team. You're a leader of a super team, and now the queen of a nation. It was just
a species.
Pretty much. So it just wasn't meant for.
And then that time that oh my goodness, that T'Challa or Storm's sister tried to fight T'Challa in an elevator.
Mm-hmm.
I mean that was because I think T'Challa cheated on Storm.
Yeah. She wrote something about it. It was called Lemonade. We talk about Rogue and Gambit.
Yeah. Do you like that couple?
I do, just because from the animated series, it was always so like,
it was there.
Will they? Won't they? Will they? Won't they?
The Ross and Rachel of the X-Men.
Yeah, when they were great way to put it. Great way to put it. But I was always a fan of Rogue and Magneto, because it was gross and it still made a little bit of sense, and we really started to see his heart warm a bit. She could get to him. Their romance began in the Savage Land.
Ooh.
And it was one of these
one of the hot sultry nights in the Savage Land.
I mean, the Savage Land makes fools of us all, okay? And you had this interesting thing where it was like, oh, Magneto hadn't really loved anybody since Magda.
Mm-hmm.
Magda?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That right. Yeah.
And so it was cool to see him, and then they were kind of on again, off again.
They kind of were.
And
it was weird.
And he kind of listens to her. Like, shit,
he'll take it in.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, kind of one of the only people besides Charles that could talk some sense in it to Eric.
Yes. Yeah. And while it was obviously creepy, super creepy, it just, for some reason, it made sense.
It was sort of like Michael Douglas and what's her name?
Oh, Catherine Zeta-Jones.
It's kind of like that.
So. Very much so.
But weren't they a couple, Magneto and Rogue, a couple in the Age of Apocalypse? Or was that still Rogue and Gambit?
I think it was still Rogue and Gambit. Yeah,
okay.
I think they were still. I
mean, that's why I kind of love the Rogue and Gambit dichotomy, is because even through different dimensions and
They find each
timelines,
other.
they still find each
Yeah.
other. It's kind of beautiful, really.
Yeah, it's that Southern Belle and then that Cajun rapscallion. It just works.
Yeah.
It just works. And I mean, they've done stories where they're out there thiefing it up.
Yeah, absolutely.
Out there doing doing their thing, stealing from bad guys.
Yeah.
And living their lives. Like they are the kind of couple that we're always going to be together. And in X-Men the End, we see that they do get married and they have children and all that stuff. So it was great. It was nice to see that payoff from the animated series.
And a friend of the show, Kelly Thompson, wrote Mr. and Mrs. X.
Yes.
And awesome run. Check that out, kids. So I mean, it kind of delves a little more into the relationship. You get more of the they have the same problems as normal people in relationships. So.
And that's what's always so fun about these things when you see them have to be real. When you see them have to it's not just like, hey, we go and we save the day and we come back and we make love and we go and we save the day and we come back. There was, especially in the X-Men, it was always like fraught with like, okay, we can be with each other. We can't, if we have children, our children will be mutants.
Right.
Like it was a lot of, heavy stuff.
There's a lot of heavy stuff going on there,
comics.
especially with the Rogue and Gambit, because one, she couldn't touch him.
Yeah.
He couldn't touch her. And you got the man who could have any woman, basically, Gambit. And he's basically stuck on, he's in love with a woman he can't touch physically. Yeah. That's got to be rough,
And that was what was so great about Gambit, because obviously Gambit was just putting the work down in Louisiana,
Nolans.
Mardi Gras was his hunting grounds. Even in the Ultimate Universe, like he's like a gigolo. Like he's getting his gigolo on.
Is he really?
Yeah, he's like a street magician. He's like a David Blaine that sleeps with you. Women are like leaving him there, in his tip jar. They're leaving,
the hotel keys. Yeah. That's awesome.
So you knew that he genuinely loved Rogue because of who she was. Sure. So it was really, it's a very heartwarming, totally. Thing for them to have.
Do you? How about one of the? I'd probably say the couple of the Marvel 616 or all the universes in Marvel universes, Sue Storm and Reed Richards.
It's weird how well it works, because for her being so smart, she is so normal.
Right.
And Reed, I mean, if he doesn't have the accident, I mean, he's Bobby Fischer. He's
he's still a genius regardless of the stretchiness.
And there are stories where he's not with Sue and he's a supervillain. So I think that family aspect really grounds.
Wow.
Yeah, where it like really grounds like what Reed. If you're that smart and you see everything for what it is, like,
and you have no love in your heart.
You have no love. Of course, it's gonna make you crazy. Of course, it's gonna make you evil to an extent, or maybe just unfeeling.
Unfeeling.
Like, like I don't have that. I've never had that. It's not logical.
It's
not logical.
So logical.
I think that's why he allows himself to do that. It's a little dark, but I think he allows himself to do that because he knows, like, if I don't have this, like,
you're all gonna die.
Yeah, it could be bad. It could be bad.
It's like Dr. Doom ain't got on me.
There is a council of Reeds in the multiverse, and several of them have Infinity Gauntlets. So,
thank you, Sue Storm, for
keeping the 616 as safe as possible. Yeah. I mean, in the zombie universe, when his children are killed or eaten by a She-Hulk,
oh god,
that pushes him completely over the edge, and he allows not only Sue, Johnny, and Ben to be infected. He wants to feel the entire experience, so he lets them feed on him so that he can turn that way. He turns them, like scraping them. He infects them and then lets them feast on him so that he can turn.
Oh my god.
Because he's like, oh, this is... He's like, we can't have children in this new world. Like, he just loses it. He just loses it. And it's this haunting image where he's like wrapped all around like the corpses of his children. And he's like, do it, Sue! And she just like pops She-Hulk's head. Oh, it's crazy, dude. It's brutal. Very sad. Very sad. You haven't read that one, huh?
I have not read that
I'll get you Marvel Zombies Dead Days. Heartbreaking. Is brutal, man. It was super sad.
Oh my god! And She-Hulk being a friend, a family friend.
She has codes. She has codes to the thing. So she turns, and then she immediately goes where she can eat. Yeah, it's dark. Dark. Happy Valentine's Day.
Yeah, oh my god.
Super dark. Super dark.
We gotta give shout outs to some. We gotta get a little DC love here. Who are some of the? I'm trying to think of some power couples in the DC realm, dude.
When it comes to power couples, there's just
besides Lois and Clark.
Yeah, you get Bruce and Catwoman, and then I wouldn't say that they're a power couple, but they are
And that one's not going to work.
It's not. It's not on that level.
It's not.
Barry and Iris is
that's a good one.
Yeah, it's a
I
great,
like Barry.
You know, transcends time.
Yeah.
You know, they find each other.
Yeah. God, that's a good one too, man.
Green Arrow and Black Canary.
I didn't know they were a couple until tonight.
Yeah.
Like, how did that one? Because I know how it started in the cartoon.
So
Justice League and oh really?
So yeah, like it was one of those things. You know, Ollie's always doing his thing, but like those two would always just kind of flirt with each other,
right?
And you know they're married. You know they've done the whole thing. They had a very awesome wedding, and
wow,
yeah, you know they are quite the couple, and they've had their huge fallouts because when they were dating at one point he fools around, you know, he's unfaithful, and they're not married, but they weren't together. So it took him dying and coming back to life to
realize who his love was.
Exactly.
You know, it's cool because in the Justice League Unlimited cartoon, there's a episode with the Question and the Huntress who actually hook up in the cartoon.
Yeah, which is crazy.
It's awesome. And then Black Canary and Green Arrow are tailing them because they are kind of like, what is Question up to? What is he doing?
Yeah.
I don't want to give away the episode, but anyway, they end up having to fight each other. So Huntress takes on Black Canary, and Green Arrow takes on the Question. Obviously, a one-sided battle. If you know comic books, Black Canary is probably top tier fighter.
She's
up there.
She's at the bottom level. She's either at the top of the betas or at the bottom of the alphas in terms of power level.
Exactly. Yeah, she can fight
because she's already a skilled fighter, and she has the Canary Cry, you know, the sonic scream.
Yeah, and then you got Huntress, who's probably mid-tier fighter. Mm-hmm. She can fight.
Yeah.
Then you got Green Arrow, who he can
he can
trained.
Fight. He's a watered down bullseye. Like
And then you got the Question, who just probably knows how to throw his hands a little.
Yeah.
So in the cartoon, they really took the time to be like, oh yeah, this isn't going to be an even fight.
Yeah.
So basically, Question and Huntress have to kind of work together to just get away.
Yeah.
Like, we're not winning this.
The Question,
we need to go.
The Question is a more reasonable Rorschach.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
Better fighter, but not as tough as Rorschach, for sure.
No,
you know?
God, no. Yeah.
But yeah, Black Canary and Green Arrow, you know, Ollie and Dinah, they have a really fun relationship, and a lot of their relationship, like, it's a very sexual thing. You know, she's a sexual being with her legs, with her leggings,
the
and her
lace, and the motorcycle. Oh yeah. She's hot. We can't forget about one of my favorite couples, Big Barda and Mr. Miracle.
That might be the gold standard.
That is such a cool couple.
Standard.
Yeah.
You have Big Barda, who's a former female fury for Darkseid. You know, his like death squad of ladies.
Yes, trained in the pits of Apocalypse.
Yeah, so interesting. And then Darkseid's adopted son. In Scott Free, Mr. Miracle.
Yeah.
I drew a blank. And they escaped hell together, basically.
Yep.
And they're more Justice League reserves. Like, he's got a job, she's got a job.
They live in suburbia.
Yeah, like
it's pretty funny. They have like a boom tube to get back to Apocalypse, so they have
where they need to go. You know.
Yeah. I just think that couple is so awesome because you can tell it's all love. There's no okay, you're way taller than me.
Yeah,
there's none of that going on there. It's they love each other for who they are.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure he's obsessed and in love with the fact that she's assertive.
Yeah,
very a powerful being, and then she's probably in love with the tenacity of Scott Free.
Yeah.
Able to kind of reason. And get out of situations.
And there must be something, to pardon several puns, but freeing about dating somebody you can't trap. It would be interesting if like an offshoot of his ability, because I've never seen it explored, but is like you can't even like mentally trap him. He can still get away. You can't play the. It'd be like I bet you their relationship is very honest because he's not going to play the back and forth with you. You know.
Wow.
Yeah.
No, dude, that was.
Right?
Brilliant.
Right?
That's really brilliant, man.
You heard it here first, kids.
That's cool. I want that now.
Yeah, I do too.
Not even a full issue, just a cool way of someone describing it.
They do Valentine's issues every year.
Okay, that's cool.
They do. So like you could have something like that be in there.
We could do probably arguably one of everyone's favorites, I would say within the last couple of years, is Ivy, Poison Ivy, and Harley Quinn.
Yeah, just this, you had this friendship blossom where Ivy's always kind of been... She's only manipulating men because they're easy to manipulate.
Yeah, right.
The women are tougher. She has.
Yeah.
But but she she really does love. They love each other, Harley and
they do.
Ivy.
Yeah.
They're not so much like an official couple as they are like best friends who are also intimate. Like it's not really about like. It's not really about sex or anything like that. It is they have
that's absolutely got it.
they have
Physical.
they're very much a bisexual couple.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Because Harley loves many.
Yeah. Loved Mr. J. Which is probably
J.
one of the most toxic.
The most toxic relationship in comics ever. Like I like their look together, but they never. Joker doesn't love anybody. He doesn't love anything.
He doesn't.
Yeah. So
it goes against who he is.
So I think that where she was obviously manipulated by Joker and taken advantage of, like Harley genuinely cares for her.
Yeah, absolutely.
And this stems back from the animated series. They were friends. She inoculates Harley to all of her toxins very early.
That's true.
They live together in that like wasteland, so that
right.
she's always there for Harley.
Right.
She was the one, she was very much like
Batman episode,
the friend zoned guy.
Right.
She was the friend zoned lady.
She always got friend zoned because of Mr. J. Even in that episode where they is it called Harley and Ivy's Night Out or something like that?
Girls' Night Out or something.
Yeah, and they ended up kind of going out on the town, and then I even being really young, picking up on the vibes that they were falling in love.
Yeah.
And but unfortunately, Harley, old habits die hard.
Yeah.
She goes back to Mr. J, and you can tell it breaks Ivy in that episode. It's a very sad episode.
Yeah.
But that's a really cool. I think that's
a sweet couple.
It's a sweet couple, but it's got every couple we're mentioning. It's cool because they've always written about the problems. Even in we did a breakdown on the Illuminati, and Reed Richards does talk about the troubles of being married to Sue, and how she actually goes and vents to Prince Namor.
Yeah.
That is effing hilarious to me.
Yeah. It's such a jab, And he reads like, I know where she goes.
Yeah, I know everything. I think my favorite couple in comic book history is Apollo and Midnighter from The Authority. That is my favorite power couple in comic books.
It's pretty bananas, and I think it was one of the first times that we saw some hyper realistic couple stuff in the homosexual world.
Yeah.
And that's an old book. I mean, it's from the late 90s.
Yeah.
Maybe early 2000s.
I would say no, it was definitely later 90s.
Okay,
yeah. It was I remember seeing it for the first time and being, and it didn't necessarily register to me because I just loved the characters. I just loved kind of take no prisoners Batman and Superman.
Yeah.
And I just loved the fact that they were genuinely in love.
Yeah.
This wasn't a hey, we're famous, so we're gonna get together kind of thing. It was like, they genuinely loved each other in those books, and it's kind of cool to think, man, wow, what if Clark and Bruce, were a couple?
Yeah,
and it kind of plays to that. I like it.
Yeah, you had the weird, in Kingdom Come where you had finally an older Superman and an older Wonder Woman,
right?
Having a child, and Bruce being heavily involved in like raising it. So you end up having this weird. Three's Company type, thing where the child of Superman and Wonder Woman helping raised by Batman.
Right.
So
that kid's gonna be OP for sure.
OP.
What I gotta mention that your power couple got to be Scott and Gina. I'm assuming.
I like that because it's one of those things. It's like the Brady Bunch. It's like the Brady Bunch. Like, I'm conditioned to like that. I like each character. I love the X-Men. That's my first foray into comics.
Right.
And, as I've gotten older, like, I don't think, Scott was always safe. Like, she made her feel safe. But Wolverine made her feel free.
There you go.
And while they never truly had anything, I think that Wolverine and her could have been an interesting couple.
Sure.
I like Cyclops and Jean Grey together, but they're not my favorite.
No.
They're not my favorite. I don't know who my favorite is, if I'm being honest. They flirted with this idea once in Avenging Spider-Man, where they kind of had Carol Danvers as Captain Marvel, which is where she debuts as in Avenging Spider-Man 9. And, they kind of have her and Peter being a little flirtatious.
Okay.
And it never got to where it could have gone, but it was very interesting.
Okay.
It was very interesting, just the idea, because she's, the military, she's at a very serious, and, Peter is tragic and fun.
Yeah, exactly. Free spirit.
Yeah.
I think that would have been an interesting couple, man. I could get behind that. It's, I think another one of my real quick while we're rounding this out. One of my favorite couples that they get no love, and I'm wondering if it's because they're villains.
Ooh,
Is Wilson Fisk and Vanessa Fisk.
yeah.
They get no credit and get no love for being a cool couple. The reason I think they're such an amazing couple is because there's no secrets between them. Yeah. There are no secrets between Wilson Fisk and Vanessa Fisk. She knows what he's up to, and he tells her everything. Mm-hmm. She's in on all the plans, and she's so supportive of what he's doing, regardless of what, I mean, granted, Kingpin he's not necessarily evil. He's just a businessman.
He's an evil businessman, but he's not trying to run the world. He's just trying to run Manhattan.
Yeah, or the kitchen or whatever.
Yeah. And we see in Into the Spider-Verse what happens in a universe in which Wilson is not honest with her.
Right.
And they die.
That's right.
So, yeah, in most iterations you do have
a very honest, upfront relationship with the two of them. Mm-hmm. And talk about a couple that's so supportive of each other. Like, he supports everything she does and vice versa. If they didn't have the evil monopoly thing going, I think they would be they would be up there for me, man. I love that couple.
I'm surprised you didn't bring up Daredevil and Elektra.
That is
do you like
Scott and Gene.
Yeah, okay. And that's what
I was conditioned to like it.
Yes.
Matt Murdock and Electric Nachos. I remember that was kind of the first love I saw in comic book, like boyfriend, girlfriend. I was like, first couple I saw. Yeah. And I always loved Frank Miller's take on this. Mm-hmm. He does say in an interview, I always found it boring that these superheroes had irregular people for boyfriends and girlfriends.
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah.
He's like, it makes no sense. He's like, these people bring down buildings with their passion. He's like, why? He's like, what is Superman doing with Lois? He's like, why is he out there running around with Wonder Woman? Yeah. She can match him. Yeah. And like, I always love that aspect, but I always thought that superheroes choose these boring people for partners because they need that.
Yeah.
They need the normality.
You need to be able to hang up the cape.
Crazy. Yeah, you got to be able to hang your cape up on something. Yeah. And I think that's why a lot of these power couples don't work, because you're bringing your work home with you.
Yeah.
And that's hard to deal with.
Yeah.
And that's why we got to give shout outs to the Loises and to the Alfreds.
Yeah.
Because they're there to, not to like demean them, but their job is to keep them sane.
Yeah. Like they need it.
Yeah. The person that saves the world, that person needs saving too sometimes.
Yeah. Ooh, I like that.
And you got to give shout outs to the Mary Janes and the Gwen Stacys, even though, who are you? Are you a Gwen Stacy man or a Mary Jane guy?
I feel that Peter and Gwen deserved each other, but I do like Peter being the nice guy, getting the model, getting somebody. Sure. Like he was fortunate enough to have two women who really loved him. Yeah. And they didn't get to see where it went with Gwen. So I always have that's why I was always so happy when they brought Spider-Woman, Spider-Gwen, back in the fold. Gwen Stacy deserhed. She deserved more than what she got.
For sure.
The dead girlfriend syndrome.
Right. Even though I would say when that happened in comics, that was the point when Spider-Man stopped being so innocent.
Kid. Yeah, quit being a kid.
Yeah.
He had already had this terrible thing happen to him, but this was like, oh my gosh.
It shook him again. It showed him that, me doing this as Spider-Man has real consequences. Yes. And it's that I am a Mary Jane man myself. I always love them and plus I got a thing for redheads.
There you go.
But it's funny that the two are some of our favorite superheroes, Daredevil and Phoenix respectively.
Yeah,
both of those relationships end up tragic.
Very tragic.
Yeah.
Very tragic.
Matt loses Elektra. Scott loses Jean.
Over and over and over again.
Both of them. Over and over again.
And then Scott gets a clone, and that one goes south too. Like it is just.
But then he also tells Emma to play dress up with him.
No, she's playing dress up with him. She's feeding into his stuff, because at that point he had Apocalypse in his head,
right,
and he was keeping it at bay, but it was just making him a little little darker, a little darker. But what do you want when you're dark? You want that white. So that white queen is that white lady.
God, do you think Beast would ever hook up with anybody?
Beast has had he had a very much like Ben had like a blind girlfriend. That whole trope. It's like because of your inner beauty, Eric. Because of the inner beauty. Like that's what they were trying to teach the kids.
Same with Beast, right?
Yes. I can say
Hanky.
for Matt.
Panky.
Matt Murdock though, he was just showing his face to any girl who would give him a look.
Oh God, that was the worst. Matt Murdock was the worst about that. Dude.
I'm glad that they ended up changing him. He was so cavalier early on. Hey, you like superheroes?
He's like, look, I'm blind too.
I can feel you. It was Matt's destiny to love her, and not be with her.
Ooh.
Just as it was my destiny to be Shogun. Kids, that's our show. If you like what we're doing, please hit that subscribe button. Tell us what you think. Who's your favorite superhero power couple? Who do you want to see be together? If you could put two heroes together, two characters, what would you do?
Yeah, man. You know what? I want to see the ultimate, like, straight on physical power couple. I want Big Barda and Wonder Woman. That's my dream couple right there because they can just wreck shop.
Interesting.
And talk about bringing down buildings with their passion.
Yes.
God.
Yes. Yeah, because Wonder Woman, she knows how to, and she grew up with the Furies.
Oh yeah.
So there you go.
They know each other.
Some passion, ladies.
There's a lot of passion. How about you, real quick?
You know what? A couple that I would like to see revisited again because they did it a little bit. They did Wolverine and Storm, and I always thought Wolverine and Storm was a really good. She was good for him,
right?
She was good.
They did do a version of it in X-Men: The End. It's kind of sad, actually.
Yes, yeah, and that's a couple I would like to see more of. More of.
I like that.
Do you have any final thoughts for us today, my friend?
Love is a mysterious thing, man. Unless you're making love to a big rock guy.
Yeah. Unless
it hurts. Their love hurts.
Yeah. Yeah. Kids, that's been our show. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. I've been your host, Roman Chavez.
I'm still Eric Icarus.
And we will catch you on the next podcast.